This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sarah and I gorge ourselves on everything that's happening in the crazy world of video game news.
The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where if you help us hit the $200 a month mark, by my command seal, I can force Ben to learn about the lore of Fate by starting That's Hell You're Walking Into, a podcast whose introductions I will literally never run out of gimmicks for, ever. I've had a new one every week for the last several weeks, which I'm very proud of. It's a podcast that we did the first episode for as like a pilot. You can find it in our backlog. And it's good. You should donate to us and help us reach that because, frankly, Fate is a clusterfuck, but it's my favorite clusterfuck. So, Ben, what are we doing this week?
This week it's our monthly roundup where we talk about things that have happened in the news and things that's going on with us.
Yay!
The first part will be very quick because I didn't do anything.
All I did was play Ghost of Tsushima, really,
Yeah.
and play Persona 4 some more. But both of those are probably going to be future episodes, so we're not really going to talk about them too much here, except that, surprise, both are extremely good.
I will say there is one thing I wanted to talk about real quick, and that's Paper Mario came out.
Oh yeah, how do you like it?
So I've been playing Bug Fables.
What's that?
Bug Fables is the real Paper Mario game that came out.
What?
It is an indie title that is very heavily inspired on the first Paper Mario, the N64 one. I played it for about an hour. It is really cute and charming and fun, and it's good to just play Paper Mario again, like a real one.
That's like a real Paper Mario.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, beyond that, I played more. I played more Kingdom Hearts Unchained or Unchained X. I played more Xenoblade and Ghost, and that's about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just a lot of Persona 4, FGO, and Ghosts, which are all things that will probably get their own episode in one way or another, including like another That's Hell You're Walking Into preview.
Yeah.
So we don't need to get into them too deeply here. So instead, hey, let's just talk about the news.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened actually in the last few weeks of this month.
Oh God, it never ends. Hit me.
So first off, let's start off with something good. Here is everything announced during the Devolver Direct 2020.
Yay!
Did you watch the Direct?
I never did get around to watching the Direct,
so
I'm going to just rely off of you.
Yeah. Once again, the highlight was the actual, plot stuff happening. The crazy cinematic universe they're developing.
for their pressers, yeah.
Yeah. There was a really great joke about how, people don't care about games themselves anymore. They just care about announcements. And how the only thing that really matters now is having a good announcement and extending, and announcing more and more stuff for your game so until the game comes out and you can't announce things anymore.
Everybody loves a good press conference. I'm not even gonna lie. I love a good press conference. I miss E3 so bad. Because E3 did not happen this year, everything is spread out over the course of 3 months, and it's horrible because it's not condensed. It's just constantly hey, here's a new thing, and I'm like, no, I hate this. Actually, go back to E3. Let me take 2 days off of work and then just watch press conferences with my friends.
Yeah, I can't afford to keep spreading it out like this.
Yeah, it's bad. I hope E3 isn't dead. I hope next year it's back. Oh God.
But they did make some announcements, some actual video game announcements. Shadow Warriors 3 got announced.
Sure.
Which looks cool. Fall Guys got a release date.
Good.
August 4th. I'm very excited for Fall Guys.
Yes, Fall Guys is gonna be good.
Carrion got a release date for July 23rd.
So it is out as of this recording.
Yes.
So it's the 26th right now.
Let's see, what else? They announced a game called, Olija.
Okay.
Which is this cool, 8-bit side-scrolling game where the gimmick is that you have a grappling spear that you use to zip around the environment and, harpoon enemies and stuff.
Oh, that sounds neat.
It's got that Devolver charm to it where it's kind of grim and gory. And kind of dark. but it's got a really nice charm to it. Looks cool. Serious Sam 4 got announced, which is a shame because Doom Eternal already came out. So we don't really need Serious Sam anymore.
Sorry, guys. A little late on the draw there.
And then they announced a bunch of stuff within their free Devolverland Expo game.
I heard that.
Which is really cool. They put out this free-to-play little short 20-minute game where you explore an abandoned Devolver Digital like E3 booth.
Right.
And there weren't any like real like they showed the trailers they showed in the direct.
Sure.
But they had teasers that you could unlock at the end, which is just like you at the end of the game you unlock a website that shows like screen caps from 3 unannounced games.
Okay.
So like no details about them, but just like 3 games that they have lined up in the future.
There's still no sign of Katana Zero DLC. I don't think it's happening. It's been over a year and a half now. No, it's been a year and 3 months, 4 months. Because Katana Zero was we played it. We played it in the hotel room at MomoCon, yeah. So it was last year.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was new when we played it then. Yeah, okay. So it could still, I mean, at some point, that would be really nice.
Something could happen.
Someday. Please. Please? They keep saying, like, oh, we got stuff. And it's like, show me your stuff. Where is your stuff? I was thinking about that game the other day. Anyways.
That was about it. Like I said, most of the, they had a really, really good joke where they brought on my uncle who works at Nintendo.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
But yeah, so like beyond that, like if you haven't watched like the actual press conference, like that's the one you want to watch for the story that's actually happening. You want
to keep the plot going. The plot they've been keeping going for like 3 years now, 4 years now, something weird like that. Good for them.
Yeah. So that was that for them. IGN put out an article called "How Final Fantasy VII Remake's Developers Reintroduced a Classic Game." That just kind of goes in depth for a few like bits about the development of the remake.
Sure.
Just like a few. There was another article that came out later, so I'll fold that into this one. But it talks about like the what they wanted to do like different for this.
Yeah.
And they talk about how Kitase wanted to go completely off the rails with the remake. and Nomura was like, let's maybe like have some attachments to the old one.
I would kind of love to see what completely off the rails looks like. You know, like part of me is extremely curious. Be like, okay, so what do they think totally off the rails looks like? I think that sounds fascinating.
I mean, this is the same man who was like, let's just kill everyone in Midgar.
Yeah, that's true. I think Kitase might be a madman.
why don't we just kill Barrett in the in Shinra Tower?
Yeah. Kill Barrett and then kill everybody else in the Return to Midgar. And then ambiguously kill everybody at the end of the game.
And then Nomura's like, maybe we don't do that? Maybe instead we not.
We don't kill all these characters that everybody's attached to. We're just killing the one. It'll be okay.
We got the one. We don't really need to kill more.
I just have this image in my head now of like Kitase constantly just walking around with a knife, and it's like, no, you got to put that away, man. You can't kill all these beloved characters. I'm sorry.
I made a tweet that's like it's the soldier protecting the child meme, but the soldier is Nomura and the child is the Final Fantasy VII cast.
Yeah. That's it.
So this thing talked about how they were surprised that Jessie got as much love as she did in the remake.
Why are you surprised about that? She's literally like one of the most charming characters in the remake.
they talked about how the decision to replace the core voice acting cast.
Sure.
About how they wanted it to just be like a new, younger cast,
Right.
bringing in, because it's like, it's a new generation, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it tracks. I still, just by replaying when we were playing, Dirge of Cerberus, I was like, man, I miss Steve Burton. He's really good.
He is really good.
Cody Christian is good, but, like, man, Steve Burton's just such a good Cloud. He's just got the right tone.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But yeah, it's just like a general interview and talking about, like, stuff that's going on with it, and, they're in hindsight kind of stuff.
Right. I know they did mention that they have officially begun, like, full-time hardcore development of 7.
Yes, that was another article on here, too.
Cool.
Written by KZ Excellent is where I found this one from.
What?
Yeah.
KZ wrote it? That's funny.
He's writing for FinalWeapon.net now.
Oh, well, good for him.
So just like their announcement is that, it's in full development now. And they also confirmed that Roche will appear in part 2.
Well, yeah, of course.
Obviously.
Was there any doubt? Or did people not think that Roche was not going to appear again? He very, blatantly just kind of was like, well, I'm done being in this video game now, and then literally drove off into the sunset. Like,
you haven't seen the last of Roche. Now, goodbye forever.
Yeah. Like, it's super, super obvious that Roche is going to come back, which is good, because Roche kicks ass,
Roche is
actually.
Great. Kitase's quote from this was, "The new story of Final Fantasy VII has only just begun." Yeah.
Give me more.
Oh,
Make it go even more off the fucking rails, please. I want Kitase to get to do his batshit remake. Like, let part 2 be completely wild. It probably won't be, but let part 2 be completely wild.
Like, with the way it ended, the first part ended, like, this is reined in?
Yeah. I mean, like, completely different ending of the game than anybody expected. Like, okay. I want to see what Kitase's notes were. Like, what was your plan to make it, so off the rails, man? Okay.
Moving on. Netflix's Dragon's Dogma anime.
We're never getting that Devil May Cry anime. We're never getting that Devil May Cry anime, man. It's never happening. It's dead. All of our hopes and dreams are dead. It's never happening. We talked about it during the Castlevania episode.
Capcom.
And what a fool I was to have hopes and dreams.
Capcom was like, hey, weren't we making an anime based on that really popular action game that we put out recently? Yeah.
That one that Itsuno directed? Yeah.
Which series were we doing again? It was Dragon's Dogma, right? Yeah.
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 That's it. That's the one everybody's asking for.
Started with a D, right? Yeah, Dragon's Dogma.
Whose mans has been clamoring for a Dragon's Dogma Netflix anime? Like, who's responsible for this and why? It looks so bad. The animation looks really bad.
Yeah, I don't want to be sour grapes about this because it's not Devil May Cry, but it's like I looked at it and I'm like, oh, it's a CG anime.
It's a CG anime not made by Studio Orange, who did like Beastars and stuff. It's like, oh no. I love Berserk 2016.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure Dragon's Dogma fans are happy, but like
all 12 of them.
I keep telling people, and I keep telling you, if you want the Devil May Cry anime, you got to watch Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's it. That's clearly my only option now.
It's as close as you're gonna get to an actual Devil May Cry anime.
It's never happening. Is this series cursed? Like, did we wrong an old fortune teller lady somewhere? Like,
it reminds me like everything about Devil May Cry. Like the fact that it has a bunch of Power Rangers in its cast feels appropriate. Because if you ever like look up like behind the scenes stuff for Power Rangers, it's like, yeah, this idea didn't pan out because the actor wasn't available. That's why he's invisible for half the season. Like,
I swear, it's so bizarre to me that like a series like Devil May Cry, which ostensibly has sold extremely well, and Devil May Cry 5 was the best-selling game in the franchise now, officially, by a wide margin. Like, it just, I don't understand why it has to constantly fight to exist. Do you know what I mean?
It's
so weird.
Like, almost half the games in the series were plagued by, like, development hard times.
Well, it's like, it's either like you've got, so DMC 1 comes out and it does extremely well, and then they're like, alright, let's make DMC 2 in 6 months. Oh shit. Never mind, let's make DMC 3 as an apology for DMC 2. Cool. A billion years later, here's DMC 4, but we're gonna give it completely unreasonable sales goals and half its development time. And then it takes 10 years to get DMC 5.
And then we're gonna reboot it with a bad reboot that no one liked.
Yeah, and sold poorly.
And now we're gonna make the actual good one, and
it sold great, and yet it's still just like, why does this series have to constantly be like, no, we deserve to exist? It very clearly deserves to exist.
It's trying so hard.
It's good, and it's trying hard, and people really like it, and there's a lot of fan enthusiasm for it. But no! Let's make Dragon's Dogma!
Devil May Cry 4 shouldn't be the third best game by default.
Yeah, like, let's make Dragon's Dogma. That's a thing everyone's asking for, with the most generic protagonist of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
We are never getting Devil May Cry anime.
We're never getting it, no.
It does feel insulting. Because this is a Capcom property on Netflix.
And it was, I mean, Dragon's Dogma was directed by Itsuno. Like, did something go wrong? Did a wire get crossed at some point?
It feels like
Did they were they like planning on making Devil May Cry and then they forgot what Devil May Cry was and made this instead? And then they were like, oh shit, we made the wrong anime. Well, I guess we gotta put it out. You know? It's like whenever you write a paper about the wrong topic because you misheard the teacher, but you still turn it in because you hope you can get like half credit. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, like no one was clamoring. Like this isn't even come like on the heels of like Dragon's Dogma announcement, like remake of Dragon's Dogma 1 or like Dragon's Dogma 2 finally comes out.
Right. I know there's a lot of Dragon's Dogma fans, but like none of them want an anime. They just want Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
Like Dragon's Dogma, I don't think anybody plays it for the plot. I think you play it because you can crawl all over monsters and have like little minions and stuff. I've never played Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, I don't know how it plays at all.
I do know you can crawl on the monsters, which is like you can climb on the monsters, apparently, which is neat. Like, I don't know anybody who's like, yeah, Dragon's Dogma's plot is where it's at. No. Nobody wants an anime, they just want a sequel. I feel sorry for those poor bastards. I feel just as bad for them as I do for Devil May Cry fans, because I don't think anybody, they're all also like, no, where's our sequel? And then all Devil May Cry fans are like, no, where's our anime? Like,
this isn't
switch it around.
This is that bit from The Simpsons where Bart or Lisa wants to go see a play and Bart doesn't want to, and so Homer says, "All right, we'll compromise. We'll go to a play that Lisa doesn't like."
That's exactly it. Nobody wants this. Make Dragon's Dogma 2. Make the DMC anime. How hard is this? I'll even take a bad CGI DMC anime at this point.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
It would be hysterical because, at least it would be something.
Can you imagine, like, you know how, like, the first Devil May Cry anime just didn't have fight scenes?
Right, it had one fight scene at the beginning and one fight scene at the end. Yes.
Just imagine just, like, a bunch of really, really bad CG anime fight scenes with like really, really unexpressive models.
Yeah,
and
let's
like
do it.
no motion. Oh,
go! Let's ride all the way to hell, baby.
Just like
title card,
like the limpest hits you can imagine.
Oh yeah, no, that sounds great. Because at least then it would be charmingly bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like DMC2.
Yeah, just make the DMC2 anime.
Yeah.
Just make it based on DMC2.
That would do gangbusters in Japan, okay? Japanese fans love DMC2. I don't fucking know why, but it's true.
Every fight scene is just Dante doing the same gun animation over and over again.
Standing in a corner and just shooting things, and that's it. Repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
For 8 episodes, 22 minutes apiece. It's fine.
It's got the budget of, like, an off-season of Digimon where they just reuse the same attack animations over and over again.
It's got the budget of a Patreon-funded YouTube animation show.
We need to kill like 30 more seconds. Have Dante go Devil Trigger and we can show the full animation.
There you go. Oh my god. It's never happening. I'm so sad.
Never ever.
What's next?
Ubisoft Forward July.
Oh god, what? We're supposed to be recording a podcast.
Oh, yeah. I looked at the words Ubisoft and fell asleep immediately.
Stay with me.
They didn't announce anything. They had a whole conference and didn't even announce a single thing that looked even slightly interesting. I don't care about Far Cry 6.
Oh god, no. Especially because it's supposed to maybe be about, like, Voss when he was a younger, like a teenager. And it's like... No.
I don't want that.
Oh no. I don't want to know anything about Voss. Voss was good as just like a crazy man on an island somewhere who did things for the fuck of it because he's a bad guy. Like, I don't need a whole backstory with Giancarlo Esposito. Like, Giancarlo Esposito, you could do so much better than making an Ubisoft game.
It really feels like with it feels like this game exists to give Giancarlo like something to do.
Oh yeah,
like,
I feel like he would be more successful if he actually did just open a for real chicken chain like he does in Breaking Bad. You know what I mean?
Right,
like if he just sold chicken.
Like he doesn't like. It's like when they hired Troy Baker for Far Cry 4, and it's like all the advertisement is about him.
Yeah, and then he's in the game for like 20 minutes tops.
Yeah. Like this or it reminds me of like we got Jean Reno in Onimusha 3 for 5 minutes, and then he's replaced with the regular voice actor because he's only in there for the French bits. And it's like, for one thing, you can't afford an actor like that to be on the screen for that long.
No, he's not going to be in this game much. He's going to be in this game for like. We could do bets. We could do bets on
first cutscene and last cutscene.
First cutscene, last cutscene, and a handful of radio chatter moments. Yeah. That's it. And then he'll be in like the advertisements a lot.
Yeah.
Like he'll be in the actual TV ads a lot, but he's not gonna be in the game at all. You're not gonna have like a Giancarlo Esposito boss fight.
No.
You know what I mean? You're not gonna fight him in a helicopter or anything like that, you know?
It's this weird celebrity stunt casting that doesn't really mean anything because we know how these games are structured.
Right, yeah. I mean, I've played a Far Cry. I've played several Far Cries. I like Far Cry. Sort of. Oh, hi. My dogs are talking to us today. That's okay. I've played several Far Cries, and it's just like, you know what? I know how these games work. It's 95% fucking around, and if that's your thing, that's your thing. But he's not gonna be like a cool, interesting part of the game. You know?
The way I can think of it is no one's gonna remember this character's name.
Oh yeah, no.
It's just gonna be like, oh, remember the character that he played? Yeah. That's it.
And then they showed some of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which looks bad. And I guess Watch Dogs Legions, which is... conceptually, I think Watch Dogs Legion sounds really cool, but because it's an Ubisoft game, it's not gonna be.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, as far as Assassin's Creed goes, Ghost is out. No one
Ghost
ever needs
is
to
out.
play Assassin's Creed ever again.
Yeah. You want to play, like, a cool, stealthy, open-world game set in kind of a fancy cinematized, is that a word? It is now. A cinematized version of like, the past. Just play Ghost of Tsushima. That's it.
Yeah.
You will have a much better time.
Get an
I
armor
promise.
set that you can dye red and white, and then you're good.
Yeah. And you will have such a good time. You will have, like, an actual combat system that doesn't feel bad to play. And it'll be good, I promise. Unlike any Assassin's Creed game. They were like, we're bringing back the wrist blade. And then I went, you took away the wrist blade?
Why was it gone in the first place?
Why the fuck would you do that? That is, like, one of the most important things about an Assassin's Creed. I played 3 of those games and was like, man, the wrist blade is really cool.
Why is this character not wearing any red and white at all?
It's because it's just a Vikings game that they just called Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
you know, like, they're like, we want to make a Vikings game, but we need to make people care about it. Well, call it Assassin's Creed.
It feels like the entire Assassin's Creed series has become so genericized that it's just open world game, Viking time.
Here's an open world ancient Greece. Here's an open world Egypt. And it's like, yeah, those are pretty. I mean, like, I do know they do a lot of, like, research into how things look, which I think is cool. But it's like, you're not really doing any, like, assassin thinking. You're just playing, like, an open world RPG in like a neat historical setting.
Yeah, like, it doesn't... You don't need to... Like, there's no assassins anymore.
Yeah. You've lost the thread. You've lost the thread for a while now. Perhaps you never had the thread at all after Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
It's kind of like how, like, Call of Duty Modern Warfare just became Modern Warfare.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well.
So yeah, that's our I hate Ubisoft segment of the podcast.
Hey, it is just like E3, see? We do the thing where we get excited about video games, and then Ubisoft is like, we're here too! And then we both go, oh, I hate video games, never mind.
But come on, Sarah, aren't you excited for Ghost Recon Breakpoint? Are you excited for Rainbow Six Siege?
Oh god, I'm sorry. Were you saying something about video games? What's next?
Anyway, speaking of nothing announcements that no one cares about,
to life.
Google announces Stadia is getting more games, but not much else.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So...
Okay, Google. Okay, buddy.
So they announced
bad.
a Battle Royale version of Bomberman R, which sounds cool. I would like it if it was on another thing, which it'll probably be on another thing relatively soon.
You just saying the words Battle Royale just make my eyes instantly glaze over, and I'm like, I can just check out of this one.
No, but Bomberman?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that sounds
be
cool.
just-
like a Bomberman with like 100 other people.
Yeah, a giant arena with 64 other people playing Bomberman would be awesome.
Right. That actually does sound pretty good. Yeah.
But they are also porting Sekiro Shadows Die Twice to the Stadia.
I'm sure that'll
Which
go
is
swimmingly.
Yeah, which is exactly the kind of game that deserves to go on the Stadia.
Yeah, a game that requires, like, really, precisely timed button presses to avoid taking damage on a system with some of the worst input latency I've ever seen. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
Don't worry about it.
And again, nothing new that actually looks like a decent video game.
This is like the worst part of E3.
Just like a bunch of
Tell me about EA Play next, Ben.
It's a bunch of glorified phone games, and then also some weird ports.
Some strangely advised ports, like Sekiro. Like, okay, I'm sure that'll go fine.
I honestly was surprised. This is newsworthy because I thought they would be like, no, there's no more Stadia. We're done. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be announcing anything new for Stadia by the end of this year.
Probably not.
Like if I was a betting woman, and I am, I would take that bet and say that they're not going to announce anything new for Stadia by the end of this year. Like by the 1st of 2021, nah, nothing. Not a damn thing.
Nope, and they won't announce it. They'll just quietly stop doing Stadia
stuff.
Yeah,
no, they just won't talk about it anymore. Mm-hmm. And then eventually it'll be like, well, you don't own those Stadia games you bought. They'll shut the service down in like 4 years because it takes forever for services like this to die. But like in like 4 years, they'll shut it down, and then people who paid money for those video games will lose access to those video games. Oops.
Yeah, we're gonna get a thing. We're gonna get an article 4 years from now that is like, oh yeah, Google Stadia shutting down their servers, and then there'll be a list of Stadia exclusive games that will vanish forever.
Yeah, and then we'll probably get some kind of article about a class action lawsuit against Google to get their video games back, and it'll just kind of like flounder forever. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. I love the all digital future.
Yep. So moving on. Remember a few months ago when I talked about Red Dead Online being accosted by two-headed skeletons?
Yes.
So, Red Dead Online players dress as clowns to protest 7 months without an update.
Yay!
So, in the Wild West of online games that aren't being observed.
It's my favorite kind of online game, is one that's kind of like slowly slunk into like madness limbo. It hasn't gotten an update in forever, and like the devs are clearly not paying attention to it. So like it appropriately turns into a lawless Wild West where anything goes and everything is broken all of the time.
Which is fitting for a Red Dead Redemption game.
Absolutely, that's what makes it great.
So yeah, they are mobs of people are dressing up in clown costumes in the game and causing mayhem and mischief in hopes that Rockstar will notice and provide an update.
Why would they notice that? They're not paying attention to your video game. They're too busy porting GTA 5 to the PS5 for some reason that nobody asked for.
We're making GTA 5.
5, yeah. Like, okay.
Also, 7 months doesn't feel like that long to me.
I mean, that's pretty long in the world of like online games, though, for like any bug fixes. Because you gotta know there's probably a ton of bug fixes that need did.
Yeah, I guess like if this is like 7 months without like a significant update, or 7 months without like anyone going through and like patching something.
I'm betting it's like without any patches or anything,
Mm-hmm.
But it could just be that they're mad that GTA 5, a game that is way older, is still getting more press and money. And those players are getting like free fistfuls of cash until the PS5 launches.
Yeah, so that's that. The Summer Game Fest 2020 PS5 DualSense controller hands-on with Astro's Playroom gameplay.
Okay.
Jeff Keighley came out and showed off the PS5 controller.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
We got like an actual like good reference for how big it is, how it'll feel. And You showed off gameplay of Astro's Playroom, which I am still really excited for because it's been a long time since consoles just came with games.
Yeah, it just came with a video game that is like a mascot platformer. Like, that's cute. I'm okay with that. Feels very 1990s.
Yeah.
Which is good. I like those things.
You know, your SNES always came with Mario World or Donkey Kong Country.
Sure. And the Wii came with, like, Wii Sports,
yeah.
You know?
And that helped it sell like gangbusters, so hey, this is a good idea.
So hey, maybe that'll help if it just comes with a video game you can play out of the box. That your kids can play. It sounds fun. I mean, you know, I don't know how much of it I'll play, but I might screw around in it just to see, like, oh, look, PS2 loading screen.
Yeah, I mean, building...
That means it's going to be backwards compatible with the PS2, right, Sony?
Building a level that is just the PS2 loading screen is, like, a brilliant idea.
Genius. Let me jump around on those blocks.
Yeah. Oh, God. It would be cool if, like, the more games you had on your PS5, the level geometry changed.
Oh my God, just like how it is on the memory card. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good idea. Oh man, do it. That'd be awesome.
That'd be so cool.
Please. But yeah, no, I like the controller. I do wish they were coming out with a black version of that console though. Like, I like the white, but it's gonna clash with everything in my living room. And that's a big motherfucker. We talked about this the last time we talked about it, but it really must be said. It is quite large. And if it's black, you can kind of hide it. But when it's white, everybody's going to notice your huge fucking, like, moving box-sized console. I mean, that thing's going to come in a box the size of a fridge.
Like, I'm going to, like, think about having to get, like, a new entertainment center because, like...
Just to hold this.
I don't know if it's going to support the weight of the PS5.
It's just going to cave in. You know, put it on, and be like, put it on there very, very gently, very carefully, just like, put it on there, it settles, and you're like, good, and then it just collapses in on itself. Big pile of dust.
Wake up in the middle of the night to hear it crashing to the ground.
There's a hole in your living room floor going down to the apartment beneath you. So, like, PS5 controller is just, like, PS4 controller sized, right?
I assume? It's a little bit bigger because it's got that, like, extra width at the middle.
Right.
But, like, it's basically comparable to that.
Like an Xbox controller, which is fine. We've talked about how the Xbox controller is perfect. So that's good.
Yeah. Speaking of Xbox, Xbox One S and Xbox One S All Digital Edition production discontinued ahead of Xbox Series X launch. I put this article on here because I wanted to talk about how I don't know what the new Xbox console is.
The new console is the Xbox Series X, not the Xbox One X.
And not the Xbox One S.
Right, which is not getting discontinued?
The All Digital Edition is getting discontinued.
Okay.
But the disc version will be continue to get production.
Okay. So wait. This is so stupid. Name your console something else, Microsoft. What's fucking wrong with you?
Okay, so let's break this down. Okay, so you've got Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Wii, Wii U. Little screwed up with that one.
You fucked up, but that's why the Wii U didn't sell well.
Yeah, and then Switch.
Right. Pretty clear cut.
All different names.
The only time they went with a new name, or with a very similar name, it did not sell well.
Yeah.
Imagine that, because people got confused. They're like, is this just a different version of the Wii?
And they didn't advertise it very well, and it didn't, like, is the tablet like a addition for the Wii?
Can you play, like, can you just buy the tablet? No, it's its own thing. But people were confused, and then the Wii U sold horribly, like one of the worst selling consoles ever.
And they put out the Switch, which is selling like gangbusters.
Because it's got a very easy to remember name. It's the Switch.
And then,
you know exactly what it does.
Then you got Sony, you got PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5.
It's extremely clear-cut. It could not be more clear-cut if you tried.
You cannot get confused at all. There's a number on the box.
It's called a PlayStation, and the new one has the biggest number. There you go. Which PlayStation do you have? Well, I have a PS4. There you go.
That's it.
Everybody knows. But
Xbox.
Oh,
Xbox
God.
360. Xbox One?
Okay,
wait, but
which we instantly get into. Well, okay, I have an Xbox. Which Xbox? Well, I have the Xbox One. So you have the first Xbox? No, I have the third Xbox.
Yes, the third Xbox.
By the way, the second Xbox is Xbox 360.
And then you get Xbox One X, which, okay, that's a better one. But then you get Xbox One S, which is not clear what that is.
And it's like, okay, so you have the Xbox One and the Xbox One S, which is the slim version of the Xbox One, if I'm right. And it's like, okay, I'm following. Then you have the Xbox One SAD, which is exactly what its name says. It's SAD. It's an all digital. Nobody likes those consoles. And then you have, to me, this is the most baffling. You have the Xbox One X, and then you have the Xbox, and I want to say like the Xbox One Series X, but no, that's wrong. It's just the Xbox Series
X. But
and it's like,
you have the word series in there, which implies multiple. That you're gonna make different variations of this,
but
and
there's only the one?
Like, I don't... They've hinted at so Microsoft likes to make multiple variations of their console, right?
Sure.
Like, we're seeing that. But, like, announcing it right off the gate, and, like, all this weird stuff about, like, optimized for whatever platform.
Right.
That they're slapping all over their horrible-looking boxes.
Oh, God.
Every Xbox game is going to have
bad.
that awful, awful emerald slapped on it.
It's so bad. I can't wrap my head around it because it's so, like, it's hideous, and they're basically saying that all of their games can be played on the Xbox One? Like, so you're making all these games to be played across the board?
Yeah.
It's such a bad idea. It's such a bad idea.
They're like, the Xbox Series X isn't going to have any exclusives for, like, first year.
Which so it's like, so then why would I buy your box?
Yeah, why would I get an Xbox Series X? Like, if it's all going to run on the Xbox One for a while.
Do you know why I'm getting a PS5? Because I want to play Horizon 2.
Because PS5 games will be on it.
Because PS5 games will be on it. I want to play Horizon 2.
I can't play Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS4. They had to say that like 8 times.
It's not a PS4 game. It's its own video game that's being exclusively for the PS5. Like, yeah, that's the one I'm gonna buy. If I already own it, if I already own an Xbox One X, then, like, why would I spend money on another expensive box?
This is what we're gonna get, come Christmas.
Oh, God, confused grandmas everywhere.
We're gonna get Mom going in and saying, my son wants the Xbox X.
Yep.
And he's gonna say, do you want the One X or the Series X? Or do you want the Series S? Or do you want the One S Digital Edition?
And I worked at a GameStop for 2.5 years, and saying all of I'm like imagining myself saying that to somebody and just watching them get increasingly confused and angry. And
this is like, haha, yeah, it's funny when, like, the mom buys an Xbox game then the kid has a PlayStation. Like, you know, that one's funny because it's like, the boxes look entirely different and they're named different things. I don't blame any parent that gets confused by this horseshit because this is ridiculous.
It's so frustrating, especially when you have parents who are not terribly computer savvy. and all they know is that they're supposed to get an Xbox X, and it's like, well, okay, well, there's two Xbox X's. There's either the Xbox One X, which got discontinued, but we still have some on the shelves, and can play all of these video games that can also play on the Xbox Series X. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like...
I want the one that can play Halo Infinite. Well, they both can play Halo Infinite. So, I'm sorry, that doesn't help narrow things down.
Yeah, like, and, you know, you're gonna get, like, well, wait, will this game run on my Xbox? And... Yeah, probably. And then a year later, when they stop doing that, you're going to be like, well, why doesn't this game run on the old Xbox?
Well, because you have to buy the new Xbox to play this game. And then people are going to get mad again. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm having, like, war flashbacks.
I don't blame you.
My time at GameStop. I'm just imagining these hypothetical conversations.
This is absurd. This is ridiculous and is not consumer-friendly at all.
It's a really bad... idea. Just make PCs. I mean, you know, just sell like a nice PC that plays Xbox games, or just plays PC games and like has a pre-installed, you know, Microsoft storefront or something, and can play old Xbox games. Like, that's not a bad idea, you know? Like, I get that you're aiming for like this idea of like a permutatable sort of system where people can kind of upgrade at their leisure, but at its current, like the way it currently is, you're just kind of breeding confusion, you know?
The idea of like a slow and steady like upgrading process is not what this industry is built on.
Right.
Like, they're trying to apply the PC gaming like ideal to the console market, which is not how it works.
Yeah.
Like, you just buy the next one when it comes out.
Yeah. It's just very poorly advised. That's what I have to say.
Yeah,
it just seems like an extremely bad idea across the board.
Like, it feels to me like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X were like as far as you want to take this idea.
Sure.
Like, oh, it's the same, but like it just runs a little better now.
Yeah.
And there are some games that are like
can run things a little
they get like a bonus mode for playing it on Pro.
Right.
Like, that's you don't want to have like this many alternates because you're just hindering your own development of your games.
Yeah.
Is weird.
It's weird. It just seems very like they're just kind of struggling for like a direction. So we'll see how it pans out. I don't know, man.
We still don't have a price for either of them. One of you has to fire.
Somebody has to blink. I'm sorry. You can't put the system out and be like, the price is a secret until you buy it. I'm sorry.
You're gonna be in the store and you're gonna bring up your PS5 and the person behind you has an Xbox Series X, and you're gonna set it on the counter and it's gonna scan for like $5.99 and the Xbox Series X is gonna scan for $4.99.
It's just gonna instantly and automatically, whoever buys it first gets to decide the price of the other one. Like, we made this joke in the last roundup where it's like, you guys have got to get out of the town square. Somebody has to shoot the gun. And it's like, they're still standing there. It's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks since we last recorded a roundup. And it's like, Microsoft and Sony are still standing off in the town square.
You know, you've done like a duel in Ghost, right?
Sure.
You know how that cutscene is like 45 seconds long?
People just standing there and staring at each other? Yeah.
Yeah, just imagine it, but it's on a loop.
It's the 10-hour no skips looping version of the dual cutscene in Ghost of Tsushima.
Just both of them just narrowing their eyes at each other. then
does another dramatic camera angle.
Then
somebody puts their hand on their sword.
Jin pops his katana out, and then he puts it back in.
Yeah, that's it.
One of you has to go, please.
Somebody has to. Please, I need to financially plan here. You don't understand.
I need to budget.
How can I budget if I don't know how much this fucking thing costs? I'm gonna buy one. So you just gotta get it out there, Sony. I'm sorry. Microsoft will wait you out. They're just gonna smoke you out. They know what you're gonna do. You did it too many times.
They caught on.
They got smart. They're like, no, we can wait these motherfuckers out.
It took them like 25 years, but they figured it out.
Phil Spencer is up in his office at Microsoft like, no, you don't put that price out yet. We wait till Sony blinks. Don't release the price until you can see the whites of their eyes. Oh god, what else is there?
Madden NFL 21 will replace the Washington team logo with a generic Washington team.
Washington football team.
The Washington football team.
Yeah.
The Washington athletes.
Oh god. It's so stupid.
I mean, yes, thank you for finally replacing it.
But
after all this time, but like, you probably should have had a name like at the ready.
Yeah, like you knew this was coming. Like, surely everybody saw the writing on the wall for a while now, and it's like, well, when we finally feel enough public pressure, or I guess in this case, investor pressure, let's be real for a minute here, these motherfuckers don't care anything about what you and I have to say, it's only advertisers, you know? But still, you knew this was coming. You probably should have had a backup, you know?
Yeah,
like a spare logo, a spare mascot.
I think it's funny that, like, the official announcement when they were like, we are officially changing our name, still had the old logo on, like, the letterhead.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's really bad. And I felt like I was in the midst of a fever dream when I got on Twitter and saw that they really were just calling themselves Washington football team until further notice. I was just like, what?
And then Seattle's like, we're the Seattle Krakens. That's
which is
raw.
cool.
That's
logo raw. Their hockey team sounds kick-ass. Although their logo does also kind of look like Trogdor.
It does, but like, I mean, like, could you imagine if they lean into that?
Oh god, yeah, absolutely. Play Trogdor whenever they get on the ice. That would be awesome.
That'd be fucking dope.
Yeah. You're right, that is a good idea.
Yeah, I just think that was funny.
No, it's really funny because it's such a clusterfuck.
It's one of those things where, like, you didn't really think about, like, how how Madden would respond to that. Like, oh yeah, I guess they would have to kind of change that, wouldn't they?
I guess so. And I mean, you know, everything's on the internet these days. You can just patch in the new one whenever they eventually decide on it. Whenever that's gonna be. Mm-hmm. But it is extremely funny to me.
Let's see. We already talked about how the remake is, part 2 is in full development now.
Yay!
So let's talk about the Nintendo Direct. Nintendo put out a Direct, and they
had a mini Direct.
They made it very clear this would not be a big deal, and it's all just third-party stuff. There's no major announcements, and everyone still got mad that there weren't any major announcements.
Except there was a major announcement. There was an incredibly major announcement. I feel like I have to, like, that I personally need to get and be like, I'm sorry, I was an asshole. Because I'm pretty sure I made at least a few jokes about Megaten 5 never happening. Sucks to suck, because Megaten 5 is extremely happening.
Yeah, Megaten 5 finally got, like, a real trailer.
An actual release window-ish.
Dope. Nocturne's coming to Switch, but not the good one with Dante.
Well, you know, they probably ran out of that license, so what are you gonna do?
But they put voice acting in it now, so maybe that'll be a nice bonus feature.
They put voice acting in, and Raito is in, which makes sense, because they actually have the rights to that character.
Apparently, this is just a port of another version of Nocturne.
It is the Japanese-only PS2, like a PS2 re-release kind of thing. Kind of like Persona 4 the Golden, it's kind of like that,
Yeah,
where it was a re-release of Nocturne.
Because wasn't there like there was like regular Nocturne and then Nocturne with Dante.
No, Nocturne. Wait, I just thought that Nocturne right out the gate had Dante in it.
I don't know.
I only owned the version with Dante in it.
Yeah, that's what I own too. But like, I think
I don't know.
Because like, I think what happened is there's a situation kind of like with the first Kingdom Hearts where the original Japanese release didn't have like Sephiroth and the Ice Titan fight.
Right?
And those got added to the English version, and then the final mix version got more.
Maybe. I don't know. But the point is that this is basically like an HD port of the version that had Raito in it, which is fine. I mean, Raito looks cool. His design is dope. It's fine. I would like to eventually play Devil Summoner at some point, but those games are long, and there's a lot of them. So, I'm sorry. I still have to play Nocturne again.
I'm excited to play having a reason to play Nocturne. I have it for PS2, but I never actually played it. It's
good. It's hard. They added an easy mode to Nocturne for, like, normal human beings.
For Persona fans.
Let's be real, it's for Persona fans. It's okay, y'all. Nobody's gonna judge you. I mean, I'm not gonna judge you. If somebody does, they're an asshole. But yeah, no. Plus, it is also just for, like, normies who are gonna play Nocturne for the first time. Be like, why is this game so fucking hard? Sorry, that's just how it is. You know, everybody gets to Matador and then goes, why? And then you keep playing and it just gets worse. It's like, oh no. Fornius, leave me alone. It's horrible.
It's one of those things where I'm like, finally, a lot of these memes will make sense to me now.
Yeah. I think it looks good. Yeah. I'm super excited. I can't believe fucking Nocturne has a release date. The fucking Nocturne HD re-release, whatever, has a release date, but Persona 5 Scramble still fucking does not. We are never getting... I'm just convinced at this point they're just not going to put it out in the United States. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is just a Japan-only release. That's fine, I guess. Okay.
But yeah, also, just as a side note with that, Cadence of Hyrule got a whole bunch of new stuff.
Yep.
That's about it, really. That was it. It was very short direct, very to the point. The big things were...
It was a mini direct, like they said.
Yeah. Big things were Shin Megami Tensei 5, finally. That protagonist looks cool.
He looks cool. He looks very cool. It's a boy. Don't worry. I saw somebody on Twitter say, it was like a conversation between people I follow. Somebody went, is the protagonist a boy or a girl? And then somebody responded, if it was a girl, you would know it. And I was like, oh, you're right. So it's a dude. Don't worry. I wish it was a girl, but who cares? That design looks cool. I'm sorry you got a quarantine haircut, my man's.
His lopsided bangs are a weird choice.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I feel like the floral print school uniform is probably not the standard in Japan. But I don't know, maybe there's some fancy school in Tokyo somewhere that's like, here you go, designer uniform.
So, next, because we didn't see anything about gameplay or anything like that, is just the cinematic trailer.
You're lucky to even get that much, motherfucker.
Suikoden's creators are crowdfunding a spiritual successor.
Yay! It has the Motoi Sakuraba is the composer from Tales games, and he's doing some of the music for it. So I'm psyched.
Yeah,
the plot summary is the most fucking Suikoden thing I've ever heard in my life.
You played Suikoden 2, right?
I played Suikoden 2 and 3, and started 4. And I didn't finish it. Yeah, because I like Suikoden.
I've never touched a Suikoden, so I'm excited to get my hands on one, kind of.
You should definitely... I think Suikoden 2 is on the PSN now. I highly recommend it. 1 is not very good. The first one is not very good. I watched some of it on YouTube, and I was like, oh, okay. But 2 is quite good, actually. I played it it's been a hot minute, but I still own it. I'm one of those people who actually owns a collector copy of Suikoden 2. I don't know, I think it's probably been devalued a little since the PSN release, but for a minute there, it was a hot ticket item. And I played it a bunch. It's really good, like I said. Totally worth your time. And I'm extremely excited for this, what is basically the Suikoden version of Bloodstained.
Yeah. So
where it's like, no, this is a Suikoden game,
so
don't worry.
This can either be a Bloodstained, which is the peak of what it wants to be. It can be a Ukulele, which is pretty good. It was pretty good. Or it can be a Mighty Number 9.
Please don't be a Mighty Number 9.
You wanna hit between Ukulele and Bloodstained.
Yes, just absolutely.
Aim for that.
aim that way. Don't go down.
If you hit Ukulele, it's fine. It'll be fine.
Sure.
But you just between Bloodstained and Ukulele.
Somewhere in there, I'm begging you.
Just,
But I mean, nobody is as inept as Keiji Inafune.
Yeah, who it turns out didn't actually do a whole lot for Mega Man, actually.
Who is just a hack who almost ran Capcom into the ground. Like, no, it's actually probably a good thing that they got rid of him and we all realize he's a hack. Because now we know. It's like, as long as you're better than Keiji Inafune, you'll be alright. So I'm excited. I'm extremely excited.
Yeah, I will donate to that once it...
Yeah, absolutely.
Once it comes up, I'll donate to that.
Yep.
Because that way I donate to get the copy.
Yes.
Like that's what's the highest to get me a free copy? Hopefully like a print version, not a digital one.
Right.
Then I'll donate to that, so that way I can guarantee I'll get it.
Right. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want.
So we're almost done here, but
sure.
few more, like one more big one, which was watch the 18 biggest trailers from the Xbox Series X Games Showcase. We finally got to see Halo. Someone said that it looks like the models for a top-down strategy game, and they're right.
Oh yeah, it does. Man, this is the fuck of not having it just be exclusive to the Series X.
Yeah, you're holding it back.
You are holding it back. Like,
it's
like, I get the economic idea of it, to where it's like, well, more people can buy it and more people can play it, and Halo is predominantly a multiplayer franchise at this point, so you want it to like appeal to get as many people online as possible. But I mean, like, it looks bad. It doesn't look. I mean, okay, it doesn't look bad.
Yeah, no.
Per se, it just doesn't look good enough. Does that sound better?
When you're following this up on the heels of the Ratchet and Clank video.
Yeah, which is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, which the Ratchet and Clank video is like the new like step for me.
This is what like next gen is supposed to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be like staggeringly beautiful, although I mean Ratchet and Clank was. But it's more so like the tech that's on display.
Yeah.
Showing off like this whole instantaneous loading of levels.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and like all the different lighting effects and all that stuff. It's like this is showing off the tech available to people exclusively developing for next gen consoles.
Right.
So it's like, oh yeah, this is what next gen is supposed to look like. Yes, that's what these gameplay preview ideas are. Is it's like, this is what our idea of next generation looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sony has sold their idea of what next generation looks like. They've done a really good job of it.
Yeah.
Xbox is really kneecapping themselves by having everything still have to run for at least the first year or two.
Yeah.
On the Xbox One.
Yeah,
like
it's
the Xbox One, which is super old at this point.
They're not giving people a reason to buy the Series X.
Right.
Like, if you're gonna announce a new console, like, you can't do Miles Morales on the PS4. Right. Okay, we can compare these screenshots directly and say, Spider-Man PS4 was a relatively recent game, and it came out pretty close to the end of the PS4's lifetime.
Sure.
So it's a good comparison point of here is, an end game, last gen game versus a launch title for the new console, and you can see the jump.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And you can see okay, well, yeah, obviously there's no way you could run this on the PS4.
Right.
It's everything they're doing is too amazing.
Yeah.
I need to get a PS5 to play this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do I need an Xbox Series X?
And it does, like I said, kneecap developers as well, because it's well, you have to develop with when did the Xbox One come out? 6 years ago? 7 years ago?
It was a while.
This has been a really long console generation.
It doesn't feel like it, but it also does feel like it.
It has been an incredibly, in terms of just history, it has been a really long console generation. I think it's 6 or 7 years at this point. Cause Fallout, my barometer of when I decided to finally jump into next gen, because of course I held back for a while, but my barometer was Fallout 4.
2013, November 2013 was the Xbox One.
7-year-old? You had to develop for a 7-year-old console? A console that was already underpowered when it came out? That's just the nature of consoles, So you have to make your Halo game, because it's gonna work on both, you have to make this Halo game be able to run on both of those systems.
And you get this optimized for Series X thing. Well, I hope that's not what optimized looks like.
Sorry, my dogs are still trying to talk to us while we talk. But yeah, no.
Again, it doesn't look bad, but it looks outdated.
Yeah, absolutely. It just doesn't look as good as it could look.
Yeah,
they
didn't.
You could
show,
do better.
They didn't show here's what it will look like on Xbox One, and then here's what it'll look like on Series X.
Right.
So I don't. Why do I need to get a Series X?
Yeah, it's you're just not really selling anybody on your console, which I guess is why Microsoft is doing the things it's been doing. It's been shut down Mixer. It's discontinuing the One X and the SAD. It's discontinuing the One X and the SAD. I can only assume to free up money for when they launch the system and probably launch it at a loss for a while. I think the PS5 will probably also be launched at a loss. I don't know how much money Sony is going to make off of each individual system. Back when the PS4 launched, for a while there, they were only making $10 off of every system. But of course, over time now, that's changed. I think these days Sony makes $60 or $70 off every system, which is pretty good in terms of profit margins off of a games console. Nintendo just absolutely fucking gangbusters. You gotta know those Switches are...
yeah.
The Switches, no way. They probably make $100 off of every console. But it's just... That's why they're doing all the things they're doing, is to try and free up some revenue. It's just man... You could have just hard committed to next generation.
Yeah, that's totally it. It feels like they're not committing to this.
Yeah, they're not. Sometimes you have to hard commit to being all right, we're doing next gen. We're gonna do it all the way.
They don't have Sony's enthusiasm for next gen.
No, Mark Cerny has said before he's a big believer in console iterations, which I think is good to a degree. Because it does let you kind of do interesting things with each console generation. And if you want a permutatable system, then you just get a PC. I mean, PC gaming is on fire these days.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For a while there, we all thought oh god, is PC dying as a medium? But no, it's back with a vengeance, probably better than ever. I mean, these days, it's considered a bit of a faux pas to not release your game on PC. I mean, for a while, back in PS3 and Xbox 360 generations, you would be lucky if you got a PC launch. It took a while. But these days, it's just kind of a given that it's going to come out on every kind of system. So it's if you want permutation, then just go make the investment in a PC, it's easier than ever to do that as well. You have more resources available to learn how to do it yourself, or just to buy a good PC out of the box, you know? So it feels like if you're going to be a console manufacturer, you have to commit to the actual idea of generations.
Yeah.
To make it seem worthwhile. Otherwise, it's like, well, I'll just move to PC then.
Yeah, and all these games are coming out for PC, including Halo!
Including Halo! Which just boggles the mind! You're really gonna put Halo Infinite out on Steam? There's no... so me, a person who is not terribly enthusiastic about Xbox, but does like her a Halo, can play Halo Infinite? Okay.
Alright.
I mean, thanks, I appreciate that, but also, what reason does anybody have to buy your new box? It's just... I just don't get it, man. I don't understand Microsoft's game plan here. Maybe they're happy just being in second place. I don't know.
I mean, maybe they just figure they'll make enough money off of Windows sales and you know, just selling their discs, their games.
I mean, Game Pass has been a hit. Yeah. A lot of people seem to really... I mean, like, I even kind of want to try Game Pass because it seems to be a pretty big success. It works really well in, like, foreign countries, like Australia, where video games are expensive. Game Pass is, like, a huge boon to them because you're spending significantly less on game purchases that way. So, I mean, like, it's been a success. So, I mean, maybe they're just happy to keep making money off of Game Pass and selling in a premium box. Which is, like, that's fine, but to me, it just is like an outsider looking in. It also just seems like an extremely strange business strategy.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. Somebody please release a price date. That's all I'm saying. Just give me a price, give me a date. Please. I need to know.
But they also announced a bunch of other stuff for this. So,
sure.
Avowed, which is Obsidian telling Bethesda to go fuck themselves again.
Yeah, we'll see. But the Obsidian, I mean, like, I know that the Outer Worlds, right? Worlds.
Yes, Worlds is the Obsidian one.
Right. Wilds
is the good one.
Is the good one, right. You know, and I know that Outer Worlds sold well. It seems to have done well for Obsidian, but myself personally, I was not impressed. So their attempts to tell Bethesda to go fuck themselves, I'm like, can you really, though? Are you really going to be willing to commit to an actual open world video game?
But if this comes out before the Elder Scrolls 6, I'm going to fucking laugh my ass off.
Oh, I'll laugh my ass off. It probably will.
God,
it seems like I didn't watch the trailer for Avowed, but it seems like more of a trailer than the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, there was gameplay footage in that.
Yeah, see? We haven't seen anything for Elder Scrolls 6 yet.
Fable got announced. Know nothing about that, just that it's called Fable.
The rumor is that it's an MMO, which if it is, please kill me.
Yeah.
If we find I was so excited for like 15 minutes when they were like, yeah, it's a Fable. I'm like, yes, thank God. I love Fable. I've talked about it on this podcast before, but I love Fable for its badness, for it not being terribly good, but enjoyable. Like the best 7 out of 10 you've ever played in your life. That's what I call Fable 2, because it is. It is just, it's mediocre, but it's very fun to play and interact with and goof off around in, and you got a dog, and if you get too fat eating, like, you know, fatty foods, your character gets fat, and then what you do is you run around and you eat celery, and that's what makes you skinny. And I love that shit. It's stupid, but I love it. You can live your landlord simulator dreams, which is a thing nobody wants to do. But at the same time, I also did it when I bought the game 1 billion years ago because it's the easiest way to make a ton of money. I love that shit, man. It's corny and tacky, and I love it. And I got excited when they announced Fable. I was like, yes, a next-gen version of my favorite trash. And then the rumor started circulating that it was an MMO, and it's like, no! don't know what you're doing with this franchise.
I feel like it won't be an MMO because it's just called Fable.
Right.
And if it was a thing that was not just an iteration of the Fable series,
right,
it would have been called like Fable Project or something.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. I really hope you're right. I hope it's a proper Fable, with tons of bad English accents. That's all I want.
Let's see what else they announced. They announced Balan Wonderworld, which
Balan Wonderland, I thought.
Wonderworld, according to this article.
Oh, okay. My bad. Don't
which
mind
is
me.
A new Square Enix game from Yuji Naka, former head of Sonic Team. I didn't know he left Sonic Team.
I guess so. He wanted to make a sequel to Knights, and Sega went, no, make more Sonic. And he went, fine, I'm just going to go to Square Enix.
And then Square Enix said, we'll do it. And then they did. Yeah. And it looks really cool. I'm very excited for this.
It looks extremely good. It was not what I was expecting when they announced the Balan Company, which is the name of the team making it. I was like, oh, it'll be like, are we finally getting Nomura's musical JRPG like he's always wanted? No. It's not what I was expecting, but it does look charming and interesting, so I'll give it a shot.
Yuji Naka designs some great looking characters. Like, I've seen like the concept art for these characters, and it's very much Sonic Adventure aesthetic, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Sign me up. I'm on board.
Those
I'm
look
okay
great.
With that. Yuji Naka deserves better than having been trapped in the Sonic mines for a million years.
Rare put out a trailer for Everwild, which looks fun.
Sure.
But again, all the people who made the golden age of Rare
they're not there anymore.
Yeah, they're at the ukulele team now. Outer Worlds got some DLC. They're just cool.
I mean, I think the most interesting thing about the Outer Worlds DLC is that the person who wrote the Outer Worlds DLC also wrote the Outer Wilds.
Yeah. And she was bragging about how she got to write both.
She was talking about that on Twitter, and I was like, good for you. You can scratch that off your bucket list now, lady. I think that's interesting. You know, like I said, the Outer Worlds did not do anything to really knock my socks off. I need to go back to it, maybe give it another chance, but I was not impressed. So we'll see. Maybe this, sometimes a game can be improved by its DLC. Fallout New Vegas comes to mind. I mean, New Vegas is on its own already an extremely good video game, but Fallout New Vegas' DLC elevates it to another level.
So we'll see. And if it's the writer of Outer Wilds, then that's a good point in its favor because Outer Wilds was great.
Yeah, I'll play it someday. But yeah, so. We'll see.
Psychonauts 2 got a trailer. That game looks so good.
I am a big fan of the art style. It looks very much like what they wanted it to look like on the original release, but of course they were hampered by the fact that it was running on PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
Yeah.
Very old, underpowered systems, and it had to run on PS2, which even for the time was an extremely underpowered system. So I think the art style now is definitely what they wanted it to look like. I really hope this one is good. I loved Psychonauts. I put an absurd amount of time into Psychonauts. I just really, really want this one to be good. I paid for the original Psychonauts I tell the story a lot, with a single 20 and $35 in quarters, nickels, and dimes.
Oh no.
Because I wanted it so badly. I felt really bad for the person at the GameStop that day, but I didn't care. I got my game, damn it. And I loved it. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I think it's still holds up in terms of writing and snappy dialogue, and it still feels really fun to play a billion years later. So I hope Psychonauts 2 is also good.
Yeah. Dragon Quest XI S Definitive Edition is coming out for the Xbox Series X.
And then also for the Switch. And for the PS4.
Yeah, it was already on the Switch, and now it's on PS4, and they're just porting the Switch game to the consoles.
Good. Thank God.
Which
took you long enough.
Something, because also the S is their 11S was for the Switch, which means it will not look as good on the Xbox and PS4.
Well, maybe they'll do something to make it look a little bit better.
They said they won't.
Oh.
It's just the Switch version.
Bah, bah, bah.
So, I mean, it still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not like you're dropping down to 360.
Right.
But it's going to be 720 on a big next gen console.
Oh.
So,
whoops.
Hey,
it's coming out on PC.
It is, and it's already out on the Switch, which is where it's native, so that's where you're going to get your best bet.
Just play JRPGs on the Switch anyways.
Yeah.
Handhelds is for JRPGs, so.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like how it's haha, PS4 isn't getting it, and then PS4 is no, we are.
Yeah, it was funny on Twitter, everybody was saying, oh, so Xbox is getting it, but not PS4, and then, 15 seconds later, it was no, it's also coming out on PS4 and PC, don't worry.
Oh, and it's oh, can we just, buy the expansions? No.
No. Go fuck yourself. Buy this game again. You're a Dragon Quest fan. Buy it more.
There is no DLC. Die. Buy. There is no DLC. Buy.
That's also Square Enix for you.
Mm-hmm.
You love them, but also sometimes it's guys, come on, really? You made the game. I'm pretty sure you could find a way to make it work as DLC.
You buy the DLC and it downgrades the game's visuals.
Or no, you buy the game, you buy it as DLC, and all the original stuff is in 1080p, and then all the new editions are in extremely awkward 720 instead.
You go to a new area and the frame rate drops by 10.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
Finally,
right,
these two articles are kind of one big story.
Sure.
But I'm very excited to talk about Nintendo leak beta sprites for Star Fox 2, Super Mario World, Zelda Link's Awakening.
Some Pokemon stuff.
And N64 prototypes and source code reportedly leaked, Super Mario 64, Zelda Ocarina of Time, and more. Tons of really, really cool stuff in these.
It is extremely cool. It's constantly on my Twitter feed right now to just see high-res versions of Zelda assets. Obviously, that's what I care about the most because I'm a Zelda person. Right. But high-res assets from Zelda, high-quality voice clips from Star Fox 64, more original Pokemon designs that never made it in the game. They got cut. My favorite is Regigigas, the mother enemy.
God, he's just got that really awkward, they caught him pose.
Yeah, he's very kind of blobby, I guess. Yeah. And of course the actual Arceus drawn by a child, which I love.
Oh, I love that. That's my favorite.
I love it. It looks like a finger-painted Arceus, and I just think it's the best.
I am absolutely in love with the Beta Yoshi designs.
Yes.
Did you see the tweet that is the evolutionary line of Yoshi?
No.
And how they were genetically crossbred to become rideable mounts. And it's got this old-timey drawing of a photo of an old sideshow Toad at a circus presenting the Yoshi.
Oh my god.
It's got a bunch of toads trying to wrangle a wild Yoshi. It's great.
Selective breeding to get domesticated Yoshis.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Because there's the one the one that has the gigantic nose.
Yes.
They talk about how that one was bred for more pleasing looks, but then it died out because of respiratory problems.
Oh, it's great. I just love it. It just feels like archaeology. You said that.
Yeah.
Where it just feels like you're just uncovering little bits of history that have been totally unavailable to us for years. I love it.
I love the Yabi sprites that were uncovered. Yabi is real, turns out.
And I mean the big one is of course that Luigi was in 64 was in Mario 64 this whole time.
Yeah, and now
our boy
Now, it turns out we knew for a while that Luigi was going to be in it originally.
Right.
There was originally going to be some sort of multiplayer element to Mario 64. Mm-hmm. But obviously it never made it that far in. But,
right.
You know, the model existed in a decompiled state.
Yeah.
And so, in real time, last night, we were watching people on 4chan put the Luigi model together, and bit by bit, like he was being slowly revealed.
He was being constructed from the ether. They resurrected our boy.
They brought him back.
They did it. They found his mustache. They put him together. Our boy is back.
They found a bunch of maps from the beta trailers for Zelda 64.
Which just owns.
Which is really cool. Yeah, a little more slices of history. High-res versions of the cartridge art for Mario 64 and for Star Fox 64.
Oh, it's so cool.
I think the Luigi thing is obviously like the biggest discovery, but the uncompressed and high-res versions of these assets to me are like the most appealing parts.
Right. Just be able to see them like what they looked like on somebody's computer before you had to make it fit onto an N64 cartridge.
Yeah, and like the voice lines for Star Fox 64 and for Mario 64, they got a bunch of those decompressed too. Like the voice acting in Star Fox 64 is really good.
It is good. That's the thing, is it's actually quite good, and it was just muffled all these years by terrible compression to try and make voice lines work on a cartridge, you know? Like,
to put also
it's so cool
to put like the size of games into comparison from then to now. The full script of Star Fox 64, because they got because there's a video already up of all the uncompressed voice lines in a row, is 25 minutes long. How long do you think the script for, say, Ghost of Tsushima is?
Oh, God. Probably 10, 11 hours. Oh, my God.
Every single voice line in Star Fox 64 is less than half an hour.
That is just amazing. And you know, like, and again, like, it did get just all compressed to shit so that it could fit. I mean, you gotta think about how small an N64 game is. Like, they could not fit a whole lot of megs onto those things.
I was watching a video about Super Mario 64 because, like, it's weird because, like, a few months ago there was this big thing about, like, urban legends about Mario 64.
Sure.
Like, because it's the Mario 64 iceberg.
Right.
And, like, all these weird fake things that are going on inside that game. And in that video, it talked about how a lot of the assets in Mario 64 aren't textured.
Right.
They're just colored.
They're just colors,
like It's the color of the model. Like, the only Yoshi textures are on his eyes and saddle. And the rest is just the model is green.
Yeah, yeah. Because, I mean, you were working with not a whole lot.
Yeah.
You had to find a way to make it work somehow.
So this is just like amazing stuff to find.
Yeah.
And
it's history.
Yeah, exactly. It's watching a video of someone take the resin off of a 200-year-old painting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, oh yeah, this is, you know, it's history that can be preserved, not on Nintendo's terms, because Nintendo, famously not terribly enthusiastic about preserving their history.
No.
They don't really give that much of a fuck. So it's always good to be able to get that out of their hands and just put it out into the world so that, like, it can stay free and available to everybody instead of just being kept on, like, a collector's shelf somewhere. I wonder how the leak happened. Like, to me, that's the most interesting part.
Yeah, I mean, who had these to begin with and then was able to give them out to the public?
Like, where did these come from? Was it like a Nintendo Japan employee, or was it a Nintendo of America?
Because, like, game dev famously doesn't really preserve, beta work or asset work.
They don't really hang on to, like, their working files that often.
Because they're big, and they're just taking up space when you're done. So, like, who was holding on to this for, and we know this to the date, 24 years and 1 month, because Ella's Real 2401.
Yeah. It's so...
Now, here's the other thing I just read in this article, is, quote, in addition to this, the leak is believed to contain source code data for other N64 games like Mario Kart 64, Wave Race 64, Yoshi's Story, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Dr. Mario 64, and even the original Animal Crossing.
Oh, wow. So we'll probably just keep getting stuff like this for a while.
I'm super excited to see more of, like, Mario Kart and Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask especially, because as we've said before, Majora's Mask is... all cartridge games are haunted, but Majora's Mask is the most haunted of them all. And it would be extremely cool to see the source files and stuff for what's going on in that game.
Yeah.
Because, Majora's Mask is in and of itself an extremely fascinating subject. So yeah, I really, really want to see more of it, more of Animal Crossing. Of course, some people are talking about, the rumored Earthbound for N64.
Yeah.
I hope something about that is in there somewhere. See, it's just like there's so much of this information that just got dumped. And it's like, where did this come from? Who got their hands on this? Did somebody just, like, find their dad's old working computer?
Like, you think
like,
about...
There you go.
You think about it, though, it's like, the computer these were stored on...
didn't even have the space for it.
Yeah, like, you can't... It's not like you found a flash drive that has a bunch of files on it. They didn't have flash drives back then.
So what would it be on? Like, floppies?
Like...
1990 something, right?
Yeah, 96, 95. They actually... God, where is it? I don't know if it's in this article or not, but they found... when the day development for Mario 64 started and the day it ended.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the tweet real quick, because I thought that, okay, right here. Production started in September 7th, 1994 and finished May 20th, 1996.
Wow.
So yeah, a 1994 computer.
94. Were CDs even that big of a thing?
I don't think so. I mean,
I guess there were some, because N64 is a contemporary of the PS1, which very famously ran on discs.
Yeah.
That was its whole selling point.
I mean, I don't know what the most efficient version of storage would have been back then.
Yeah. Would it have been cheaper? I mean, like, floppies were a thing for years. I was saying on our Discord that, we had floppies in my house up until, like, 2002 because of my mom's job. But floppies can only hold, like, kilobytes of information. So I assume if it was on anything, it was stored on, like, old CDs, maybe. I don't know.
Which is also crazy, because CDs also have, like, degradation.
Oh, yeah, CDs break down very easily. That's the drawback of the CD.
Like, I have to wonder, was this information preserved on, like, a flash drive at some point? Like, was it transferred over?
Was it transferred from CDs to, like an old external hard drive, maybe? Because external hard drives have been around for a hot minute now.
Mm-hmm. Which to me would say that whoever was doing this was actively preserving this information.
Right. God, I would love to know. And of course, we'll never know, because otherwise the Nintendo hitman would come for them.
Because Donkey Kong would murder him.
Yeah, absolutely. Crush his skull under his heel.
Yeah.
So we'll never know unless somebody decides to come forward and say, like, it was me. But God, I would love to know the origin, like where, like what was these, like what medium were these stored on? Mm-hmm. Were they just in somebody's like attic for 20 years?
Yeah, was it like the Nintendo disc console?
Yeah, where it was just hanging out in somebody's attic.
Yeah.
Like, so weird. Yeah. So,
God, they're gonna open up a folder and fucking the N64 version of Final Fantasy VII is gonna be on this.
God. Well, it would be cool to actually see that. So FF7 had a tech demo. It wasn't FF7, but it was just a tech demo that was supposed to preview like what FF7 could have been. And that existed because Square Enix loves their tech demos, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I would love to see that. I would love to see the actual tech demo.
Because like what I think is insane about this particular leak is that like it makes sense to find Mario 64 and Zelda 64 stuff because they were developed at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? But the idea that this has Star Fox stuff and it has Majora's Mask stuff on this, that like this isn't just one project's data being leaked. This is multiple years of work.
God. Where would that even come from? Like, who would even have that? Oh, it's so interesting.
I am super excited to see how this develops, and I hope it doesn't just kind of like fade away, because the hard part for a while was like getting this information. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to put it on the docket because like I the way I structured is I find an article about it, so I have like a centralized focal point, but this was being spread around 4chan.
Yeah, it's on 4chan and then multiple different Twitter threads.
Yeah, Twitter and like a private locked Discord that was exchanging the information back and forth and doing this. Like there wasn't really a hub to gather to compile all the information.
Right. It's very old internet in that way, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
It's very Wild West internet to just be like, here's some files, and to just chuck them out into the ether and run and see what people do with them.
And then everyone's kind of taking their piece of it and like working it out, and
there's no massive collaboration or a centralized place where all of this information is being stored. It's just, threads on 4chan, locked discords, like you said. Very interesting. Very old-fashioned. I like it.
I am looking forward to the ROM hack that will let me play as Luigi in Mario 64.
Or an actual ROM hack of 2-player Mario 64.
And the ROM hack of Star Fox that will put the uncompressed lines in.
Yes, please.
Also, I think it's very fascinating that, like, apparently Charles Martinet did voice lines for Luigi.
Oh, really?
Like, they found a bunch of clips that are distinctly his Luigi voice.
Oh my god. I guess they got really far into this idea of having Luigi playable and it got cut at the last minute. Yeah. Jeez. Well, so interesting. I wait with bated breath for more Majora's Mask information.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully by next month we'll have like a whole bunch more cool shit to talk about.
That would be cool.
But yeah, that was about it for the month of July. Lots of cool stuff happening, and there'll probably be more ship happening in August.
It never ends, people. The ride never ends.
E3 never ends.
E3 is eternal. E3 didn't die. E3 is dead. Long live E3. All right. I think that'll do it. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Visitor Fuse, for background music. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. And if you want to listen to another cool ending of a very important thing and big discoveries happening, you can listen to Sara's other podcast.
Hey, that was a good one. Hey, I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and play tabletop games. We try out lots of different systems. We have a lot of fun. We just wrapped up, as of today, July the 26th, 2020. We wrapped up our Blades in the Dark block. We recorded the final episode a couple hours ago. By the time this is out, that episode should be out in the next day or two. So look forward to that. It was a crazy fucking ending. I was just pleased from start to finish. You should absolutely come check it out. We're at Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud, and you can find the links to the rest of our social media from there. Thanks.
All right, that'll do it for us.
Yeah, fuck Dan Snyder.
Fuck Dan Snyder.
The owner of the Washington football team. Fuck that guy.
The Washington
we hate him.
Sports.
The Washington sports ball team. We don't like Dan Snyder in this house, folks. That's what I got. And fuck Atlas for not releasing Persona 5 Scramble yet. I'm dying. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.